Alright guys, so I want to talk about this program called Unusual Whales. Now, I'm trying to explain Unusual Whales after I already did a video over Unusual Whales about like this massive play I saw. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and put this video afterwards of that. But basically what Unusual Whales is, it's kind of like the books of the market. And when I say books of the market, I mean they cover every single transaction that happens across any given amount of brokerage. Brokers are basically like trading platforms like Robinhood, Webull, TD Ameritrade, a bunch of these other ones that I can't even bother to be named right now. But basically, what Unusual Whales does. My God, I cannot talk. I have a stuttering issue, I swear. What Unusual does is they grab all this information from all these different platforms, and they're like, okay, I'm seeing 500 contracts being bought on SPY. I'm going to post it. I see 300 contracts being bought on TD Ameritrade for SPY. I'm going to post that as well. Now, it doesn't tell you which broker is doing what, but there are some tools you get to use to see what's happening on multiple brokerages. So this is the Unusual Whales page. As you can see, there's the pricings. They give you option flow, enhanced option flow tools, data download. That's not really needed, honestly. Dark pool, Unusual Whale option alert, the mobile applications. It's a very good one. Discord access, newsfeed, earnings data, option profit calculator. The newsfeed's a pretty good one. I like using this one for my news plays as well. Unusual Whales always has a lot of stuff going on it. But let's go ahead and get into Unusual Whales. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a tab over here and see if I can bring up Unusual Whales. As you can see, I already have my stuff. But if we go here, I'm going to go to my custom views all, and I'm just going to go to live flow. So this is what Unusual Whales looks like. We kind of get to see what everything's going on right now. And we're just going to look at the overall market. I don't think there's anything here. Let's see if I can just get this to refresh on us. Just looks like a bunch of XPX trades. But yeah, this is Unusual Whales. And let's see, 250. So I can go back 250 minutes. As you can see here, I'm just going to a random time. I see how there's puts being bought and sold. I see there's calls being bought and sold. I see how many. As you can see size here. 250 calls that expire in 1 day at the strike price of 4,200 on the stock SPX being bought at 0.5. That's crazy. That's crazy movement, right? Now, obviously, anyone can spend $1,000 on 250 contracts. But it's usually when I see people spending, let's see, let's look for a big number here. Or actually, like $51,000 right here. This guy did a 103-day put for $35.90 on the SPXW, the SPX stock. The strike price was $3,590. Expires in 103 days. He spent $84 a contract. He bought 6 contracts and he spent $51,000 doing it. That's a pretty hefty move. It's a pretty hefty move to make into this market. Let's see, can we find another big one? Not really seeing any big buyers. This one, 50 contracts, expires in 2 days, a call. This man's expecting a really good movement. Probably trying to swing trade this call. You know, spend $54,000. That's some huge movement. Any Joe Schmo can spend $20K in options, but it takes someone with some massive balls to start spending, you know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. I've seen contracts exchanges all the way up into the millions. Like, and I try to follow those contracts. If someone's betting $1 million the stock's gonna go up, that's kind of a good indicator that they know something that I don't. And this is kind of what it tells me. Unusual Whales, it's not really good for the single stocks, although it has some gems. It gives you an overall picture. Now the market's closed, but just by looking at all this data, people are buying a lot of calls. Now all these are for same day expiration. So how do I know what's tomorrow's setup going to look like? Because I'm seeing puts, I'm seeing calls. This is kind of confusing. Some of these are 10K, some of these are $5. Well, I want to see what the market's going to look like. So I'm going to go to my filters, and I'm going to go ahead and make my filters. I already have a custom filter right here. My premium ranges, I only want to see transactions above $60,000, right? If someone's betting more than $60,000 on any position of the stock, I'm going to be pretty confident in my position. Now, I also want to mention that I don't use unusual whales as what I'm going to trade. I kind of used it as a confirmation. If I think the SPY is going to tilt downwards by tomorrow, I'm going to look at unusual whales and I'm going to see if anyone wants to back my position on that. So I'm going to see $60,000. I want people spending at minimum that much. And I want to see at least 100 contracts being bought. Now, I put 100 contracts because if someone's buying 5 contracts and they're spending 100K on some way out of the money, contract, that's kind of iffy for me. But I want to see where the market's going. With that being said, I want to see contracts that are moving from anywhere from 0 to 10 days. Sometimes I switch this up to 7 days because I want to see if there's going to be some sooner movements. If I'm looking for a swing, I look at contracts that expire tomorrow or even a whole day, right? So I'll look at this. The next thing, date till expiration, very important when you're looking at contracts. And you'll learn more about this later. So you're probably going to want to come back to this video. Another thing I want to look at is I want to look at sweeps only. Now, what does sweep mean? That means Unusual Whales is looking at the same transaction over multiple brokerages. They're seeing this transaction on Robinhood. They're seeing this transaction on TD Ameritrade. They're seeing it on Webull. They're seeing it on other platforms, right? So now I don't usually keep sweeps on because sometimes it likes to filter, pre-filter out some things. But sweeps generally tells me what everyone in every stock exchange is going to tell me what they're doing. Now, I also like to look at out of the money only because this tells me where the stock might move, right? So out of the money means that the stock is currently not within that price range. So if the SPY is at $390 and someone buys a call for $400, that's out of the money technically. Now, tomorrow, as the SPY might hit $400 and that contract goes in the money. So I like using out of the money plays because it tells me more of a story of where the stock's going to go. If I was to do in the money plays only, well, it really doesn't tell me how much that stock's going to move. And if I know the stock's going to move, $20, I'm going to buy contracts that are way, way out of the money because $20 is a huge movement for any stock, right? So obviously I'm going to buy contracts that are even further out of the money if I know the stock's going to move into the money pretty fast. And it might give me some room for even more movement. That might sound a little confusing, but if you look at a stock chart, it'll break down even further. So I like to use out of the money only. Once again, it tells me kind of where the stock is going to go, what price it's probably going to reach. So I have my filter set up. I get to see anywhere from 1 to 7 days. I also get to see sweeps. I get to see out of the money contracts being bought, and they're buying at least 100 contracts at $60,000. That's a lot of criteria to meet, and yet I still have stocks being shown. So what am I looking at here? I'm trying to look for, let's say, a play for tomorrow. Let's say the market was still open. I want to see what play is going to happen tomorrow. Looking at this, I see 500 contracts, a put being sold. That means people are expecting the stock to move up. But then I'm also seeing the SPY buy a 386 put for in the next 7 days. That's kind of a bit out of my time frame, but that put looks pretty good. For 7 days, they're buying $339. They're betting $137,000 that the stock's going to go down within the 7 days. 7 days is quite a bit of time. You know, personally, I don't think I would hold. If I was going to swing a stock, I would want to look at what the overall market's doing. I'm seeing a lot of call. I saw this call come in, you know, 71K. Now, at the time, SPY was moving up. So I kind of want to see what people were buying towards the end of the day. So I'm not really seeing much movement right here. So I'm going to go ahead and search only SPY because I'm seeing SPY, Tesla, everything else. I'm seeing a put buy at 1034 for the next 2 days, 238 a contract at $61,000. Spending $61,000 on puts to hold for 2 days. So they're expecting a movement within the next 2 days on the downtrend to probably hit or anywhere from 386. Now, $61,000 is kind of low from what I'm used to looking at, but it's definitely within my margin that I want to look out for. Now, $137,000 is a pretty good fucking move. You know, it's a lot of money. 386 definitely tells me the stock might hit 386 within the next 7 days. Now, I'm seeing a lot more puts being set up, but this is also throughout the day. So people are definitely not expecting the market to hold for, you know, the market was green today. The SPY was green. I think you can see it right here. The SPY was extremely green today. It was at almost 392 today. People are expecting the stock to hit somewhere in the 380s, low 380s within the next 2-3 days, even up to 7 days. A lot of money being bet in this. A lot of money. Now let's see if I just take off the sweep only filter, I might see a different story. Suddenly I'm seeing call buys at 92,000, right? I'm seeing call buys 168,000. A buy for a put 5 days. Just saw this one, I think. So I'm seeing a lot more calls than puts. Now, this could just all be from one movement. This could not be over all stock exchanges. It could just be over a couple. And sometimes, you know, sometimes the sweep filter is not always the best filter. I use it a lot because it does tell me if there's a group mentality going towards one stock or, you know, one specific contract, one specific trade. If I take off the sweep only filter, it kind of it very much dilutes what I'm looking at. But yeah, this is unusual whales, and I showed an example of what I was looking at. These are my filters. I like to use a sweep only filter. And another thing unusual whale does is that's the live flows. So this updates as the market's going on. And I'll leave my filter on, and if something pops up, that's definitely what I'm going to be looking at. But let's go ahead and let's go back, or hold on, let me go to menu, and I can see hot chains. And I can see what stock, you know, what option contracts are moving the most, right? This option contract moved 133%, you know, 28K OI, open interest, 86,000 volume. That means the volume's over the open interest. $14 million of premiums being traded. You know, very green, very green. A lot of these options being green. This option itself moved 811%. That is crazy. It's crazy movement. 230% implied volatility. That means that contract is probably being way overbought right now. Way overbought. But 800% increase on an option. It's massive movement. It went from 5K open interest to 32K volume. $2 million in premiums. That is insane. And I think I saw this stock earlier today, actually. Mara. I actually want to look at that. Another thing unusual does. You can see the fucking movement of the chart and the option. You can see the OI changes for Mara. You can see this put. You can see, yeah, the height. I'm sorry. You can see the open interest. All this data comes from the open interest. Now, this is a bit overkill. I don't look at this data all the time, but I can see the option charting. I can see the Greeks. I can see the full chain breakdown. what all these options are looking like in the puts and the calls. Oh well, the calls and the puts, sorry. As you can see, I'm seeing a lot more calls in this range. I'm seeing a lot of puts in this range. I'm trying to look for which one has the highest volume. 31K volume on this call right now, like pretty insane volume. A lot of people are expecting I'm seeing overall more calls on this side than I am seeing puts. So what does this tell me? If a lot more people are betting that it's going to go up, what am I going to do? I'm probably going to bet that it's going to go up. And I'm probably going to pick the one with the most volume because that's going to be the fastest one to get in and out. So that's something to look at. Definitely takes a lot more time, but it's better for review. I use Unusual Whales as a great review tool as well. It's not just looking at what stocks are popping off today. It also tells me, hey, where did I fuck up? If I had a bad trading day, this is going to tell me, hey, you messed up on here because there's another trade that you didn't see that was also, for a call instead of a put, or it was for a put instead of a call. So it definitely tells me that. And, I get to look over the data. If I buy an option contract and I realize like, hey, the stock went up, but I didn't make any money. Well, Unusual tells me, hey, well, when you bought this contract, the open interest of it was, 72,000 and the volume was only 3,000. Or the implied volatility of this contract was, 500%. So you paid 500% above what was expected. It's crazy. Crazy numbers. You get tickers, chains. You kind of get to see what's within the SPY, what's going on in the SPY right now. You get to see what's the move. The SPY put had 185,000 volume, so people were expecting the SPY to go down last minute. I don't think the SPY did, actually. 0 days to expiration. Pretty interesting. Now, Unusual Whales, it just tells you what's happening. It's not really going to say what's going to happen. You kind of have to take that into your own account. You take your own risk. Obviously, right now, this was a great example. There was 185,000 volume in a put today, and the market just boomed off, right? So I can definitely tell you that Unusual Whales does get it wrong sometimes. And it's not that they get it wrong, but you can interpret it wrong. You get to see a bunch of kind of just... You get all this data, and it's so useful, and I really wish I could explain more about it, other than when I'm like, if you pay for the tier 3 membership, you guys get to see like live trading, I think, or I'm going to do like pre-recorded trading, and you definitely see me glance over at my Unusual Whales a lot, just to see what's the movement on certain stocks. Sector flow is also a really big one. I get to see which sectors and which industries are doing the best. Obviously, today, the communications were doing, pretty hot today. What's in communications? I was looking at, Netflix. Netflix was a massive boom today. Netflix ran 5% after hours. Netflix was a huge move. Disney was also a huge mover today. So we're seeing things like this. Bidu, I think that's these are the people who have like TikTok and stuff like that. Twitter. Let's see. That was another good mover. Snap was a good mover. But see, if I see the communication sector is doing really, really hot today, I'm going to go here and I'm going to look at some of these stocks, some of these big communication stocks. And obviously, I'm going to buy into them. I'm going to buy calls, right? Unless the market just changes on us. But, technology was a big boomer today. 3%. Who's in technology? Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Nvidia. These are big names that you guys probably know. Oracle, Cisco, AMD, chips. These guys manufacture chips. AMAT, Applied Materials. Google. Google is actually doing a stock split, so I know they're going to move up probably tomorrow. That's going to be my swing trade. But how do I know this? Well, it's just everything's fucking here, guys. If I want to know if the SPY is going to go up, I want to know which sectors are making the SPY go up. If the SPY goes down, I want to see which sectors are falling hard, and I want to get in on those sectors. And it tells me that all these guys were moving today, and they're moving really, really green, and I wanted to be on those guys. Now, there is another one, and it should be, I don't think it was this one that I wanted to show you guys. Man, I'm tired. Oh, this one. Stock feed. You know, some pretty good movers on the stocks. The market cap. You know, obviously it's in the billions, the hundreds of billions. It's a large cap stock. I'm seeing some huge heavy movements in some of these stocks. 20% movement on MSTR. I don't even know what that stock is. It's a common stock, right? In technology sector, 1.18 million volume, moved 20%. If I was looking at this morning and it was going off, I obviously would have bought in on it. Made easy money on that. So it not only does it tell you about option, but it tells you about actual stocks. So if you're not into options trading, you got your stocks. You got your stock picks that you're going to play. You know, you can do watch lists, OTC trades. Those are pretty good. I really don't do any of those. I don't watch those at all. Sector flow, I think we just went over this. You know, the hot change in tickers. This one was a big one. I already showed you guys this. I don't know why I'm just re-going over it. Oh, live news flow. I get to see this huge news feed, all this stuff that's coming out. And this actually helps because sometimes with news plays, if you know, I'll talk about that strategy later on in another video. But news plays are fast. You got to know when they happen and you got to be right on it. Like, Apple might announce, oh, you know, iPhone 13's halts in production because the phone explodes. Well, what do you think about that? Obviously, Apple stocks are going to just plummet. So what am I going to do? I'm going to buy puts on Apple, right? That news play hits out of nowhere. It's fast. It's hard. And you just gotta watch it. And so the news feed is always a good one. I love seeing it. Another yawn. I am sorry. Yeah, but those news feeds, really detrimental. News plays can really move a stock off the SPY. I've seen Apple consistently, and it'll follow the SPY really, really well. And then all of a sudden, you know, they have a news play, and Apple will either gap up or down 5%, and it's just completely off of the SPY. You know what I mean? Like, the SPY could be down. If Apple has a good news play, like, Apple spikes up 5%, and then it can just run for the rest of the day, or it spikes up 5% and then just sells off. Like, Apple is, you know, Apple news plays, they're pretty big. You know, that's one of the ones I know. But any news play works. NVIDIA, you know, if there's a Chinese issue, I know Alibaba or AliExpress is just going to get fucking shit on if it has bad news. So, guys, this is a great tool. Now, Unusual Whales, I will admit, it's kind of expensive. I think if you just saw the pricing plans earlier, it was $42 a month for, like, the good plan. Or, you know, $400 a year. And it's not cheap, guys. You know what I mean? And if you're already, you know, if you're barely having enough money to pay for the course and you're putting in minimum on your Robinhood or your Webull, you're investing minimum, you know, yeah, obviously I would probably hold off on Unusual Whales for a bit and just scalp the SPY, you know, learn that strategy. And then when you can afford Unusual Whales, definitely worth the investment, guys. Like, this will help you make more money on your swing trades and confirm your suspicions on the market. That's what I do. I always use Unusual Whales to confirm my swing trades. Like, today was a bad example for swing trades, obviously. Like, not every day is going to tell you, but I saw pretty good movements for puts on the SPY, so I bought puts on the SPY, and I'm holding that till tomorrow. And, you know, my indicators tell me SPY might break down. Unusual Whales tells me that there's a lot of people who think the same, but there's also a lot of people who want to buy calls. So it's totally on that. Totally on the market. I'm sorry, guys. I keep yawning and it just doesn't work. But yeah, Unusual Whales, amazing tool. I'll say it a million times if I have to. I'll leave a link to Unusual Whales and where to buy it if you're interested. But guys, I've made some serious money, and it's always worth it. Like if you're contemplating buying it now and then just using it, and hopefully trying to make your money back so you can make a payment, you know, Unusual Whales is definitely worth the money because it'll make you even more money long run. You mean like it's $42 in a month? You probably pay $200 for this course right now. You're paying $250 in fees a month. Guys, you make that in one trade. Like, Unusual Whales will get you 1,000% gainers easily, eventually. You know, it may not be the same day you get it. It may be the same day you get it. And, you know, I've actually had my first 10K% gainer from using Unusual Whales. It showed me which contract people were buying. I bought that contract. The next day it swung over. Market opened, huge gap down. I'm not talking like almost a 8% gap down. My option was just so far in the money. I went from, I think, being like 5 contracts out of the money to 2 contracts within the money. Like, it was crazy. I think it was like 30 cents a contract to like $3 a contract. No, that's a lie. It went from like 3 cents a contract to like $3 a contract. I'm sorry. It was really out of the money. It was really out of the money. And it took me a minute to think because that math didn't add up either. But either way, enough of me ranting about myself. Yeah, I'm definitely going to leave the video off here though. Great tool. I know I couldn't explain a lot of it. Quick overview real quick. You know, you can search for individual tickers. So SPY. I like using that one. Or let's even look at Netflix. Netflix had earnings today. NFLX. If I go to my filters, you know, I see people buying calls for Netflix this morning. If I go to my filters and I take off my sweep, probably can see a lot more movement. There you go. Obviously, I'm seeing a lot of let's see, premiums. I'm seeing more calls than puts. I'm seeing more, seeing put volume right here. So people are spending a lot more for calls because obviously Netflix was up today, but they actually bought a lot more in puts. So people were really banking on Netflix going down. It didn't though. Netflix was up and it gapped up pre-market. But a lot of these people were buying Netflix puts. They were buying the puts, buying puts. You had an equal amount of people buying calls. So it was almost 50-50 on Netflix. But, you know, moments like this, 5,000 contracts, sell call. 5,000 contracts, call. Not a buy or sell. It looks like it was for a spread. We have this one, 2,000 calls. Insane numbers, guys. People were paying insane prices. Some huge people playing some insane money. 1.5 mil. That was crazy. But yeah. You know, Unusual Whales is definitely great. You set your filters, man. Like, if you're more of a long-term trader, you know, I'm going to see Netflix within anywhere from the 10 days to 70 days, right? Like, I want to see what people are betting on then. You know, I'm seeing a lot more puts on Netflix within the next 30 days, you know? So, definitely what I'm going to be looking at. But I like to do, you know, I like to do pretty close trades, so I like to just hold my options for a little bit, sell it, so I get to see what people are playing with that same mentality. I get to see, you know, like I don't want to see people buying one contract. I want to see people buying 100 contracts. I want to see, you know, people putting a lot of money into a stock. So these filters are pretty great. This is my filter. It works pretty well. I like to use sweeps only, but sometimes I take it off. Sometimes I leave it on. I just want to see where the market's going. You can search individual stocks. Netflix, Microsoft was another one. You know, I saw a lot. There's a call on Microsoft. I take off sweeps only. I'm seeing a lot more Well, there's a sell, put. You know, so there's movement in Microsoft, definitely. So I'm gonna leave the video off here. I know I said that a million times, but that was your kind of overview of unusual whales. I really can't show you much more. It's more of something you guys have to play with and just look for yourselves. But, you know, LiveFlow, the main tool I use for mine, I use LiveFlow. If I want to see what's going on, I can use Darkflow. I'll use that to see what stocks are kind of moving. Obviously, Netflix was popping off closer to after hours. So I was seeing a lot more Netflix, you know. I looked up Netflix. I was like, okay, Netflix is moving. I want to see what Netflix is doing. So Darkflow definitely tells me what stocks I'm probably going to call off for that day. Tickers, you know, I get to see all these stocks, every single stock kind of moving. But yeah, the hot change, live flow alert. See if there's suddenly a spike in a, you know, contract, I'll see it. But yeah, this is unusual whales, guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys do end up taking the plunge and wanting to go into unusual whales. It's something that's extremely great. It's a great tool, it's a great resource, and it's definitely saved me a lot of money long run. You know, it's turned some of my really bad days into some green days. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it be. I've said it a million times already. I'm sorry. I'm actually gonna leave you alone this time. So yeah, have a good one. You guys are on your way.